voice search marketing, voice-activated assistance, or simply the phrase voice? We're going to go over some of those topics in this episode number 10 of Agile Digital Business. I am Vickie Maris, and I want to thank you for being here.
You're listening to Agile Digital Business with host Vickie Maris. She's an author, speaker, and marketer, helping you with your business transition to digital in content marketing and customer engagement.
I'm so glad you've joined me for this episode of Agile Digital Business. I have prepared a script for this particular episode because there are sections that I just didn't want to leave out by accident. But you will also hear me go off script as I ad-lib a little bit about my experience at a recent conference and how that all ties into this voice search topic. You may have heard of voice search or voice-activated assistants such as Alexa, which is the assistant for the Amazon Echo smart speaker. There's also the Google Home Assistant or Microsoft's Cortana, Apple's Siri, and many others. You may have also heard the older phrase of voice attendants. This has brought about a marketing niche that is often referred to as voice search marketing. I am Vickie Maris, and I am really glad that you are here listening to this episode and that you also have interest in this subject of voice search. It has really been taking a lot of my free time because I am just fascinated with what we all need to be doing to get our businesses up to speed and our content available for people as they are searching with their voice. Voice has been referred to as the next big thing. The data is showing that it is the big thing that we need to be preparing for. And I'm going to add the word now, if we don't already have our businesses ready for voice. In a white paper made available by Pragmatic.com, it states that there is a prediction by researchers that the penetration of voice-activated assistants in the U.S. by the year 2022 will be 55%. So that statistic is referencing that 55% of American households will have at least one smart speaker. Voice is making many of the tasks that we do in life simpler. I'll share a story with you about the young folks that work with me and the llamas here on our farm. Several come out during the spring and summer months and take lessons on how to train llamas for performing in obstacle courses and public relations classes and for doing pack work. Llamas can wear packs on their back and carry about 25 to 30% of their body weight if you want to take them as a companion on a trail. The kids are always happy to offer up whatever types of questions that they have been asking their phones in the past 24 hours, or if a couple of them have smart speakers in their homes as well. And what they tell me ranges from they've asked their phone for driving directions to maybe it's an idea for a poster for their 4-H project to a recipe that they're looking for, or questions about scholarships they should be applying for to help with college expenses. In the office, I've had representatives of businesses ask me if this is something that a B2B business should be looking to leverage. B2B, it's an acronym for business to business, or businesses that sell to other businesses. Having your content positioned and ready to be found on voice search seems a more obvious play for the B2C space, or business to consumer type of business. But my prediction is that those of us in the B2B space need to be mimicking what our counterparts in B2C are doing to prepare for voice. As we all get more used to doing searches with our voices rather than typing on a keyboard and watching a screen, we're going to see that routine drift into our work environments in the B2B world as well. And as a former journalist, I used to be a reporter and a photographer for a weekly sport horse publication during my internship in college. It was called the Chronicle of the Horse out in Virginia. So from that media perspective, I'm just certain that the media are already using voice search as they prepare news stories. Can your business be easily found by members of the media? Would you like to be serving as an expert for a story? If we go back for just a moment to that piece by Pragmatic, in an excerpt from that piece, it states, in addition to being a new channel for customer engagement, voice has the potential for delivering improved customer experiences and service. I also predict that on-screen searches will still play a role, so please don't give up on your search engine optimization efforts. I don't think SEO is going away. I think it's going to be in combination with voice search. Last week, I was attending Podcast Movement 2019. The conference took place down in Orlando, Florida, and I scheduled some of my vacation days so that I could attend the conference. There were several thousand podcasters present for the event and many vendors and podcast industry thought leaders. I noted that the attendees of the conference were referring to this medium and the means of communications with customers as simply voice. I was hoping that the experts on the panel that I attended would go into more detail than they were able to do in the time allowed once the bios were completed. However, I did get to meet with one of the panelists who has agreed to come on this show, so I'm looking forward to bringing an interview episode to you soon with this representative from a media company that has been optimizing for voice search for quite a while now. I'm excited about what we're going to be able to learn from him. Podcast Movement is one of 3 conferences that I've attended in the past 18 months that has had a concurrent session on the topic of either voice or smart speakers or voice-activated assistants, the creation of Alexa skills or Google Actions or voice search marketing. Podcast Movement had nestled that panel discussion that I just mentioned in a track that they had called Broadcasters Meet Podcasters. The session itself was called Raise Your Voice, Smart Speaker Strategy for Podcasts. This topic of voice search and voice search marketing has me so intrigued. I have just been consuming podcasts and YouTube videos and blog posts about this subject. I delivered a talk on this topic very recently up in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Digital Marketing and Social Media Institute. And that event was geared towards marketers in a specific niche. And several of the attendees of the conference owned smart speakers or were using the assistant on their own personal mobile device. But they weren't yet making adjustments to the marketing in their business in order to accommodate customers using voice search. But they are not alone. I continue to find this as I talk with people in many different industries and professions. I too am working at bringing my own content on my website, in my music business, and my farm business here on the llama farm. I'm helping Scott Greason, my husband, get his website and the content he's producing that's related to his music and his new album. We're working to get those spaces more current with where they need to be so that our content can be found in voice search. What I'm hoping is that you'll come along with me on this journey, and I'm going to be sharing with you here on the podcast what I'm learning as I go along here in this season of Agile Digital Business, and as I make changes to my own website or the other areas of digital content, I'll be bringing you along on that journey. And I'd love for you to be making similar kinds of changes if you need to in your own business. want to take a quick break here and ask if you would share this episode with your friends and colleagues. If you grab a screenshot of the episode and share it out on Twitter or share it in your LinkedIn feed or whichever social media channel where you are active and have a following, and if you think your following would have interest in this topic of voice search, please invite them to join my family of listeners. Thanks so much for helping me spread the word about the show. Now let's get back to the rest of the episode. This seems like a good spot to touch on the definition of voice so that you can determine if this and the upcoming episodes are going to align with what you want to be learning for your own business or your role in your employer's business. Voice refers to several things ranging from the use of a voice-activated assistant, such as the smart speakers, Amazon Echo and its assistant Alexa, or the Google Home Assistant, to just name a couple of them, or the use of mobile device assistants, such as Apple's Siri. Or if you're an Android user, you might be using that phrase, "Hey, Google." It can also refer to the voice-activated remotes that we have for TVs, or the voice-activated assistant in a vehicle that gives you control of the information and the entertainment systems. In my Ford truck, that's the Sync 3 system. Voice might also refer to an audio podcast or an audiobook format of a book. In fact, it was my interest in marketing of my book that I had published last December in Amazon that sent me on this quest to better understand voice search marketing. My book, it's called Job Loss and the Cutback Blues, Journey of Grief, Uncertainty, and Recovery After Being Let Go. I started out by publishing a digital format for Kindle or Kindle readers, and then the paperback format. But as soon as I had those two out, I went to work narrating the audiobook version here in the studio so that I could upload it to ACX. ACX is now owned by Amazon, and it's the company that feeds your Audible app. So if you've downloaded Audible and listened to audiobooks that way, that's how Audible gets its files to share with you. I had been hearing in this online course I had been taking called Self-Publishing School, as well as in podcasts, that an audiobook is absolutely essential to book success in this decade. For some statistics on audiobooks, Pew Research released in January 2018 that nearly 1 in 5 Americans listened to an audiobook in the year. That number had gone from 11% to 18% from 2012 to 2018. Another statistic I found interesting is that the number of Americans who have read a book in any format during the year has hovered around 74% during that same time frame from 2012 to 2018. The same data shows that the average number of books that an American reads in a year is 12. However, the median number of books that a person in America has read in the past 12 months is 4. I will have these links for you available in the show notes if you'd like to check out the articles and look further into that data that I was sharing. While that data might not have you jumping to create an audiobook out of your book, you might be further inspired about the value of audio content in our near future if you listen to author and speaker Joanna Penn. She shares her excitement about what's arriving on the business and academic scenes with increasing uses of artificial intelligence, or AI. I love Joanna's podcast, The Creative Penn. Penn is spelled with 2 N's. She recently released an episode that had several moments that I refer to in my life as roadside moments. I literally had to find a place to pull my vehicle over and park during my commute in order to take notes. I met Joanna in London at Youpreneur Summit in November 2017 and just had opportunity at Podcast Movement 2019 in Orlando to say hello and to reconnect. We both were attending many of the same sessions as we have similar levels of enthusiasm about the transition to digital and how authors and businesses need to be preparing for the evolution of voice and voice search. I shared with Joanna in Orlando that she had created a roadside moment episode for me with her episode called 9 Ways That Artificial Intelligence, or AI, will disrupt authors in the publishing industry in the next 10 years. She mentions many statistics and trends that will make you sit up and take note. One that she believes could be an indicator that more people will be listening to audio in the future is that the apps that allow you to listen to your audiobooks are providing the ability to listen at faster speeds than what was previously available. She's inclined to believe that this is in preparation for an increasing consumption of books in audio form. So to just help you know what I'm referring to, if you're listening to an audiobook or a podcast, you'll see an option to be able to listen at 1.5 times the speed or 2 times the speed or half speed. She's indicating that what she has seen is that there are even faster speeds. So she thinks that is indicating that more and more people are going to be listening to audiobooks. I really do encourage you to listen to that episode of her show, and I'll include the link for you. If you think of how you are using a smart speaker in your home or your other voice-activated assistants like the one on your phone, it's likely that you are in a voice-first mode rather than a voice-only mode. You ask your smart speaker for information, and it may return an initial bit of content, but it leads you to other places that you will consume further details about the topic for which you were searching. You might even have a smart speaker that provides a screen experience as well. I've noticed our Amazon Alexa does have a visual experience. The lights on the top of her are going as you speak to her and as she delivers information back. You might head to your computer, your TV, another mobile device to search for even deeper levels of information. Is your business popping up in that position 0 or that top position when a voice search is conducted about your product or service? I keep checking that with my book title and my audiobook and the names of the songs on Scott's new album. His new album is Riverside, and I would like for those songs to be able to pop up if you ask about new music by Scott Greason, and we're not there yet. So that's one of the areas that, as I'm working on this in the evenings and weekends, those are some of the changes I'm going to be making so that as our customers are seeking to find our music or to find my books, that they're going to show up readily and preferably in that position 0. One of the biggest things that we can all do is spend more time listening to the voice of our customers and finding out how they are asking questions about our businesses and the products or services that we provide as solutions to their pain points. There are adjustments that we can all be making to our websites, from function to content, that will help us be more available to our customers during search. That's definitely a place where I'm starting. I've actually already begun working there. One web page at a time, I'm working on adjustments that will improve its performance. I'm also going to seek the help of a web designer. I've had the assistance of a couple of web developers over time, but that's been a while ago, and my site just hasn't evolved very well as my business has shifted. My DIY days of website, I think, have come to an end. In future episodes, I'll provide overview of several of the steps that we can do to ready a website for better responsiveness in voice search. I'm not going to take those episodes into a deeply technical level for website designers, but more on an overview type of a perspective so that For instance, if you're working with a consultant who's doing web design for you, or if you have somebody on your team who is responsible for your website design, that you'll know the questions that you want to be asking. I'm thinking of creating a few homework assignment episodes in this season of Agile Digital Business so that we can be working together and hold ourselves accountable on taking these steps towards aligning our content for voice search. I would love to know if that is of interest to you. I'm going to put a poll out on my Patreon account, which is patreon.com/Vickie Maris. So when you get a chance, I don't want you to, stop now if you're exercising or doing something in the house or whatever it is that you like to do while you're listening to podcasts. When you have a chance and you are in front of a screen, look me up on Patreon, patreon.com, and find that poll and share your opinion. You can also just write a free comment on one of the posts out there. In a sense, Patreon is my membership community for those of you who listen to the podcast. And it's a place where we can share ideas back and forth, and I would love to be collecting your feedback out there. If while you're there you decide that you would like to be a patron of the podcast, I very much appreciate that. You are welcome to sponsor the podcast in any level that is comfortable for your budget. And if you would like to get the exclusive audio content that I make available to my patrons, that is available at the level of $10 or more per month in subscription. So if you'd like to be more intently coming along on this journey and listening to the Q&A that I'm going to be providing in that exclusive patron-only content that I'll upload once a month, then that would be the way to join the rest of us that are participating in the journey in that way. I also have set up an email address that is specific for the podcast. So if you would like to email your ideas or let me know what kind of topics you would really love for me to be covering in upcoming episodes, you can send your feedback to agiledigitalbusiness@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you that way. I want to close here with a quote from one of my colleagues who teaches in the executive education space. His name is E.J. Smith. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana, and he says about leaders, "A leader is looking down the road and trying to determine, are there changes we need to make?" I would love to have you join me in looking down the road. Let's figure out what kind of changes we need to make for our content as we transition it to a new age of digital and get it ready for voice. I really appreciate you being here. Let's head out this week and teach, inspire, and connect.